If you contact me asking me to make a video on your game, you better hope that you've done a good job of not just making the initial game decent, but at least giving people an idea that there's hope for the future. I'm sorry that you've got to see my face, but I'm annoyed. And I'm annoyed because we're talking about Life is Feudal MMO again. Many of you know back in the day there was a big plethora, a strive for medieval games to come to the mainstream. Life is Feudal MMO was the biggest. It was this medieval open world on a scale unseen by so many, supposed to have 10,000 people on the same server. Everybody working their way towards being kings, soldiers, lords, having their own cities, trading between, creating allies and enemies, having serfs that could go farming in the fields by day or smithing swords by night. It was this living, breathing world that died. Since its downfall, the developers had one last whimsical way of trying to get players back, selling microtransactions up the wazoo, trying to get people to buy any sort of premium items they possibly could, and it was one of the worst shops that I've ever seen in an MMO or game, full stop. But because of the low player base, the game was shut down. Servers were taken away, and we thought that was the end of it, until Longtail Games sent me an email. Yes, this is actually based off the fact of the developers in question contacted me, wanting me to make a video on this new version of Life is Feudal. But this is not going to be the video they wanted. Bitbox Limited, who made the original Life is Feudal your own, or to some extent still are developing that game, and then making the Life is Feudal MMO, are not a part of this anymore. I'm assuming Longtail Games just bought the MMO and that's it. So they are a company that are coming to relaunch it, revitalize the game, bring servers back online, and supposedly carry on development. So it sounds okay, right? This medieval MMO, this massive missed opportunity that went out the door so long ago now is coming back. But there's a big issue, and that's kind of the reason I'm making this video. So you can play the Life is Feudal MMO right now. It costs you $20 to join, and that's not $20 flat. That's a monthly subscription. More expensive than PC Game Pass, World of Warcraft, EVE Online. All these games are cheaper than Life is Feudal MMO. You know, that very niche, small MMO that didn't work. And we'll get on to why in a little bit. And not only that, but this monthly subscription is required to play the game, at least this point in time. Especially if you want to get into the playtests. $20 per month, even if you already owned the MMO on Steam. Because this version of Life is Feudal is not on Steam. It's on a separate launcher, so it can be completely controlled by Longtail Games themselves. And these guys are charging you even if you bought the game back in the day. Because, of course, it's a completely new experience. It's a relaunch of the MMO, so why wouldn't you do that? So as this post went up on the Life is Feudal Discord, all hell broke loose. You can just see by the react emojis that even the people that were interested in the Life is Feudal MMO in the past do not have any care for a relaunch by a different company charging a monthly subscription. I mean, they even typed out scam using the Discord letters, which it feels like it's getting that close. Longtail Games have said why they're introducing a monthly subscription, mostly to pay for the server costs and the ongoing development of the game, which they're hoping to do. They have said that it will replace any other monetization availability, so you're not going to be having a shop buying microtransactions. So in their eyes, it's making it more fair, so there's no pay to win. However, they did say in an AMA that they will be bringing in a free version of the game as well. So who even knows what that means? Hold on, that free version means you can't actually play with premium players, so they're then going to split the player base between paid and free. You know, a player base that doesn't exist anyway, because this is the main issue. The developers contacted me to make a video, and they gave me a premium subscription key. So I loaded up the game, I went through the horrific installation process on their new launcher, and I went into Life is Feudal MMO. And it's the same game. Nothing has changed. Not a single thing, apart from a few bug patches here and there, a tiny bit better optimization, and a few glitches that have been ironed out. And that's it. And you might be saying, okay, but it's very early on. They're planning on developing the game, right? And they're planning on making this the game that everybody wanted, which is going to revive the player base in a massive way. Well, they've done some AMAs on their website, so I think we can get a good idea of their plans if we look there. I'm scrolling through all of these, and hardly any of it is about the actual development of the game. Can you explain about the growing rewards for the subscription? Why such a high price for an old game? They've even included some questions in their AMA about content, but there's no answer. How will Longtail Games' version of Life is Feudal MMO differ from Bitbox's? Longtail Games is a different publisher. No shit. Which entails reimagining the approach to game development and operations. We'll take a community feedback into consideration before making final decisions. That is such a nothing answer. Someone has asked them, how will this version differ from the previous one? And they've said, I guess we'll find out what people want. Do you plan to shift the focus to local wars, enabling small guilds to access full content? The answer: we're conducting a playtest to collect your feedback and suggestions. We can't confirm specific gameplay decisions yet, but we ensure all ideas will be heard. All of this, everything that is about content within the AMA is just saying, we'll work that out later. This development company has bought this license. They have bought the game. They've shoved it back into the ether so players can pay $20 of their own money to play it without any plans of content. And I'm sure they will come back saying, oh, we've got some plans, but they've not given us any actual roadmap, no ideas, no solid concrete evidence that they've even thought about what they want to do with this. They bought it because they saw a cash grab and they wanted people to give them money, and they have no idea where they're going to go. Of course, they'll do playtests, they'll ask the community what they want, but that's not good enough. Have an actual idea before you go into a purchase like this, before you're asking people for money, because you can hand over your cash to them with no idea of where Life is Feudal MMO is going. And so far, from what I have played, from what I've seen, and from what I've heard directly from the developers, there is no real roadmap, no real direction of content that's coming in to actually change it. And that's the biggest issue, because Life is Feudal MMO is a bad game. It has always been a bad game. That is why it died. It had some amazing potential, amazing concepts of a massive medieval open world with some focus on realism, some smithing and crafting armors, introducing player communication and massive guilds that you could fight and build castles and go to wars, but it was done so poorly with their massive attention to detail on the worst aspects of gaming, of waiting weeks for trees to grow in real time, being over-encumbered with the slightest bit of soil in your pocket, taking years to be able to collect the right herbs just to build a monument so you could stop people from griefing your own towns. The original game was so badly designed that it died. It died dead within months, and they're bringing back the exact same product. So what do they expect? If you contact me asking me to make a video on your game, you better hope that you've done a good job of not just making the initial game decent, but at least giving people an idea that there's hope for the future. Because if you'd said, this is our plans, this is what we want to do, and you can test it out now for free, I would have said, okay, well, at least there's some potential here. But I've not seen a single bit of evidence that anybody is going to create the game that people spent thousands of pounds on, whether it was in crowdfunding or me personally, who spent, I think, 60 quid when I was 15 on this game. And the only reason I get it for free now is because I'm a YouTuber. But what about everyone else that spent 60 quid on this game? What about everybody else that actually is going to be the core audience? Because the likelihood is I'm not your core audience, because I didn't like the original. I thought it was so badly designed in its game mechanics and how realistic they tried to push it. But the people that actually were loyal to your fan base, the people that actually made this game what it was supposed to be, despite the bad development decisions, the horrific management, and the bad game design, you're shoving them out because you're making them pay $20 a month, even if they bought it before. You can say, oh, we're different developers. What do you expect? We didn't get those $60 from back in the day. As a player, I don't give a fuck. That's not my problem. You chose to buy a dead game. I don't care that you're not making any money off my 60 quid when I bought it back in 2015. That's on you. So don't make me pay $20 a month, because as a player and as everyone else playing this game, we couldn't care less about your bad business decisions. If you need money now to make that game good from the players, you shouldn't have bought it in the first place, because you clearly have no idea what you're doing.